Hello, my name is Andrew,
And I'm Chris.
and we will be showing the basics of adding collision to an A-frame scene using the physics plugin created by Don McCurdy.
Okay, so first things first, you're going to want to open up your text editor. We'll be using Atom. And we'll just wait for it to load. Okay.
Second, import A-frame by downloading and adding the aframeextras.js in the script tag and head.
Okay, so this is all going to be an HTML file. So we're going to want to create our HTML tags first. And then I'm going to make our head tags. And then we're going to want to put that inside of our head tag. Okay, and it's going to be a script. Oops, can't type. It's going to be a file that you can download, and we'll link that somewhere. It's going to be aframeextras.js. Okay. Next, we're going to want to create an A scene, so we're going to do this in our body tag. Oops, my bad. This is a difficult laptop to type on. Okay, so we're going to create an A scene.
And then the first thing you want to create in the scene would be the camera. User height sets where the user's head is for the camera. Universal control lets you use a variety of controls to move depending on whether or not you're using your laptop, like through a web browser, so you can use the WASD keys or a VR headset. Kinematic body allows the camera to interact with objects and the physics of the scene. And the positioning in the scene is in an XYZ grid.
Okay, so this is our camera. It's going to be an A entity, and yes, we've discussed all the different parts of the camera. Okay, and then we're going to close off this tag. And now we're going to want to create the ground. So this is where the ground is going to be, so you, as the camera, are not going to fall through it. I'm actually going to tag this camera also. So the ground is pretty much just so you don't fall through the ground when we activate the physics that we're going to be using. And this is going to be a grid and a static body. And so what a static body means is that even though there's physics, it's going to stay in place based on where you created it.
And now we're going to create different obstacles. First, let's make an unmovable red ball, which will also be a static body. This will show how you can collide with an object and not be able to move through it.
So here we are creating an A sphere with the color red. We're going to add some width, a height, and depth. We're going to give it a position. We're going to rotate it for whatever reason. And we're going to make it a static body. This means that when the sphere spawns, that when we collide with it, it's not going to move anywhere. So we're going to save this as we're just going to save it as tutorial. Now we're going to open up our browser and create your you're going to create your local server, and if you don't know how to create your local server, then that's another tutorial for you. And we're going to go look at our tutorial and look what we made. So we're going to move around, and with the universal controls, that means you can use like a joystick or your WASD or your VR headset to move around. So here I'm moving around and looking around our grid that we landed on, and this is our red sphere that we created. And look, as we approach this sphere, we can't run into it. That is our working collision, and our sphere does not move. Okay, so back to our code. This time we are going to create a movable green ball. So I'm going to create another sphere. Oops. We're going to give it a height, width, and depth. Said that in the wrong order, but whatever. I'm going to give it a position. Once again, an XYZ. Also a random rotation for whatever reason. And this time it's going to be a dynamic body. And what this means is that when you collide with the sphere, this time it's going to move. So we're going to refresh this. And now you see our first sphere that doesn't move when we collide with it, and our second sphere, which we can push around. Oh boy, so much fun. Okay.
And the next object we're going to create is a dynamic cube. And once we get that finished, you'll notice how differently they move because the sphere is smooth as opposed to, and has like rolling friction as opposed to the cube that isn't smooth and has like sliding friction.
So here we are creating this cube, and once again a dynamic body. And you'll notice that we've color coded this based on if they move or not. If it's green, then it's going to be a dynamic body, and if it's red, it's going to be a static one. So collision but doesn't move, collision and moves, and then our box, which we can just push around, and it just pushes, moves forward. It doesn't roll like the sphere does. And the only real difference between those is by where we have a box versus a sphere. That's just creating different kinds of objects. And now we're going to create a ramp to show you how you can move upwards and along the top of an object. So here we're going to make another box. And this time we're going to make it red because we don't want it to move when we walk on top of it. We're going to make it pretty big. I'm going to set its position. We're going to rotate it a bit, and this will actually make sense this time because we're going to want to rotate this box so that we can climb onto it. It's going to be a static body. So we can move onto it without pushing it away. And here we are. We see our original 3, and right behind us is, the ramp thing that we made with a box that was rotated, and now we can just climb on top of this and move out the other side. So now you can see how we can glide and move along the top of objects as well. We can also fall off. Awesome.
So that is how you make collidable objects in A-Frame. Thanks for watching our tutorial.
Thank you.